Hello friends, in this episode I'll show you how to install an Android head unit on a Fiat 500 and also how to connect a reverse camera to it. I would say that for such a small car it wouldn't really be necessary, but it seems that my client's wife has trouble parking in tight spaces, and since the unit already came with a camera included, I said why not. After the installation, I was pleasantly surprised by this product from Amazon, which adds all those apps we all love, so I can't wait to show you the video. Let's start as usual with a quick unboxing. In this box we have a dedicated Android head unit for Fiat 500 from Asure. It is a very well-known brand, and this unit was purchased by my client from Amazon for 183 euros. We're talking about an Android unit with a 9-inch screen, Android 15 operating system dedicated to Fiat 500 2007 to 2015 with 4GB RAM and 64GB storage, Bluetooth 5.4 and Wi-Fi 6, wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, DSP for better sound than the original. It supports steering wheel controls, DAB+ for digital radio signal, something you don't find on many Android units, and it also supports an HD camera. Let's see what we got in the box. We have a 1-year warranty certificate. Then we have a wiring diagram, but I will show you everything you will need to do, and anyway, when it comes to the head unit, everything is plug and play, so it's not difficult at all. We also have a colored user manual in English where all functions are described in detail, but I won't show you the entire manual so we don't waste time. And we also have the same manual in German. Now let's take out the screen and the rest of the accessories. This is the touchscreen display, which has its own fascia to keep the air vents on the sides just like the original radio frame. The unit has a touchscreen and also some side touch buttons to navigate more easily through the menu. On the back we actually have the main unit, which sends data to the screen. And the housing has these two mounting clips that will be fixed into the original 1-DIN metal cage. However, on my client's Fiat, a 2-DIN radio was installed some time ago, so you will see a 2-DIN frame. Obviously, on the opposite side we have the same mounting systems. At the bottom we have all the ports for the wiring harnesses and the cooling fan. I will show you immediately where each connector and antenna goes. Here we have the main wiring harness, which connects directly to the original one. This connector on the opposite side is the one that actually powers the screen. This small box is a CANBUS decoder, so the Android unit can receive information from the car, and at the same time we keep the steering wheel controls. The small white connector goes into the screen. And the only wire we are interested in is this pink one labeled parking, which represents the trigger wire for the reverse camera. Unfortunately, it does not output 12 volt when shifting into reverse, so we will have to connect the camera to the reverse lights so the unit knows when to display the video signal. Then we have this wiring harness with multiple RCA ports. I actually didn't use any of them, not even the one for the aftermarket microphone, because the car has a factory microphone which will still be used by the Android unit, which is great. Here we have two USB ports. I usually don't install them because we already have wireless CarPlay and the owner will no longer need to play songs or videos from a flash drive. You'll see one connector has 6 pins and one only 4. The 4-pin one can only be used as a power source, for example to charge a phone, while the 6-pin one is used for data transfer, for example for HDR camera, wired CarPlay, video or audio playback from a flash drive, and so on. Here's the RCA port for the reverse camera video signal. So we'll have to connect the camera's video cable to this RCA port and also connect this pink trigger wire. Here we have the GPS antenna, which must be oriented towards the sky for a good signal. That's pretty much everything you get in the box. Let me show you how everything connects to the screen, and then we will go to the car. The black connector from the main wiring harness goes here. The small white connector from the CANBUS decoder goes here. This connector with all the RCA ports goes here. The connector for the USB port with 4 pins goes right next to it. And the 6-pin one goes next to the 4-pin one. Here we have the connector for the reverse camera video signal, which goes into the last slot. It is impossible to mix them up because each connector fits only one port, making the installation very DIY friendly. The GPS antenna screws in here. In the bottom left corner goes the radio antenna, and that's about it. Let's go to the car and get started. As I said, on this car we had an older Sony stereo installed, so I will remove it together with the air vents to install the new head unit. It is possible that you have the original radio, so the steps might be a bit different, but the principle is the same. This old radio is fixed with two side screws but also clipped into a 2-DIN metal cage. I will first remove the screws and then pull the old radio out. I will disconnect everything and keep only the original connectors. This way you will know exactly what you will find if you have the original radio. So, if you remove the original radio, in the back you will have only two connectors and the radio antenna. Now I take the Android unit and start with the main connector. The small original connector goes here, and the bigger one goes here. Now I connect the radio antenna. Then I will stick the GPS antenna somewhere in the back on a flat surface, trying to orient it towards the sky. Fortunately, the material of the dashboard on this Fiat is very thin, so I had no issues with the signal for navigation apps. Here I'm referring to navigation apps installed on the head unit, because if you use CarPlay or Android Auto, the location is taken directly from the phone's GPS receiver. Believe it or not, that was pretty much it. Let's do a first test. The first boot took quite a long time, so I turned off the car and left it for about 10 minutes to enter sleep mode and then tested the boot time again. This time it should start much faster. And it seems I was right, the unit started extremely fast. I did a quick test in Android Auto for sound, so I don't waste time installing apps on the Android system, which requires logging into email accounts.
For that, what a certain fire that was indeed.
It was already late, so I wanted to install the camera before it got dark outside. The camera installation is of course optional, so if you want, you can skip directly to the final part of the video where I made some additional settings and tested almost all functions. Evidently, first I connected the RCA connector of the reverse camera cable to the RCA port for camera video and connected the red wire to the pink trigger wire. With the other end of the camera cable, I will have to route it through the dashboard and reach somewhere near the passenger door seal. First I will remove this trim to guide the camera wire easily through the dashboard. Now I will use an improvised guide wire made from an electrical cable and insert one end here. With my right hand, I press the side panel of the dashboard to make enough space for the guide wire. I will bring the other end of the guide wire exactly to the radio opening. I will attach the RCA connector to the guide wire with electrical tape, and now I will easily pull the cable to the right side. I will make the connection between the red wire and the pink one stronger using heat shrink tubing. I will route the wire to the back of the car above the headliner. Since the car is very small, everything goes very quickly. Once at the back of the car, I will remove the tailgate seal and route the wire again above the headliner. Here I will pull out both ends of this rubber boot. Then I will unclip this C-pillar trim to route the wire to the opening where the rubber boot is. I will use the guide wire again to pass it through the rubber boot opening to reach inside the car near the C-pillar. I will attach the RCA connector again and pull it through the pillar opening. After that, we can clip the pillar trim back. The rubber boot on the Fiat 500 is quite narrow and full of wires, so I used a long drill bit attached to the guide wire, and by twisting and pushing, I passed it through the rubber boot. I then connected the guide wire to the drill bit, applied some grease to the connection and cables, and managed to pass everything through the rubber boot. Then we need to remove the right tail light. For this you need to remove these two screws. To power the camera from the reverse light and also send 12 volt to the Android unit so it knows when to display the video signal, you'll need another wire. I routed it again through the rubber boot, above the headliner, under the seal, and I will bring it out through this opening to reach the right tail light. Once I got here, I stripped a small portion of the green with gray wire and connected my wire here. The green with gray wire is actually the one that powers the reverse light. I already measured it with a multimeter, so I have no doubt. I also applied electrical tape after securing the connection. The tailgate cover is held by a few plastic trim clips, so it is very easy to remove. The trim with the license plate lights is held by 4 10mm nuts. After removing them, disconnect the connector that powers the lights and you can remove the trim. Since this is a universal camera, I will drill a hole for the cable and mount the camera here with screws. For a faster installation without drilling and for an OEM look, you can buy a dedicated aftermarket camera like the one in the image. I left a link in the description if you are interested. The cable and connectors had to be routed through the hole of one of the nuts. If you get a dedicated camera, everything will be much easier. I used the guide wire again and pulled both the RCA connector and the wire from the reverse light through this inner panel of the tailgate pillar. I managed to pass the wires through the pillar and now all that's left is to make the final connections. The yellow RCA connector for the video signal going to the Android unit connects to the yellow one from the camera. The adapter with the black connector for camera power goes into the red port of the camera. Then we connect together the red wire that goes to the front to the Android unit with the one from the reverse light and the red wire powering the camera. Here is how everything looks. The black and red wire from the power adapter is for ground, but it is not necessary to connect it anywhere. If you want, you can even cut the entire wire. I gathered all the wires into one bundle and fixed them with electrical tape to the original wiring of the car. Then I reinstalled the tailgate cover and that was it. Let me show you that everything works. Of course, I did many more checks before putting everything back and I recommend you do the same. I can now install the head unit in its final position. Because I started the installation quite late and it was already getting dark, I left the testing part for the next day. Let's start with the settings you need to make after installation so the car data is read by the navigation using the CANBUS decoder, otherwise many interesting and useful functions will not work. So you first need to go to car settings. Then go to factory settings. The pin is 1617. Then go to CAN type set, CAN type set again, and choose exactly this configuration. The decoder is High World, brand Fiat, model 500, the year and version depend on the car. If you notice that something is not working right, most likely you selected the wrong configuration. One thing that I really like about this unit is that it has many UI options to choose from if you don't like the default one. So you need to go to Style Settings. Password here is 111333. Then tap on Style Settings, import Style Selection, and here you have a large list of interfaces to choose from. Most Android units have a much smaller list. I like the default one, but let's test a different one as an example. Tap OK and the unit will reboot for a longer time because it actually installs the new interface. And here is the new interface. Now let's talk about the final look after installation. As you can see, the frame with the air vents integrates perfectly into the dashboard and has an OEM look. There are no gaps around it, which is very important to me. The boot time is very fast, around 5 seconds, and because we have a CANBUS decoder, we also get a graphic with the open doors. The steering wheel controls also work perfectly if you set the decoder correctly, as I showed you earlier. I will now show you some of the functions of this head unit, but I will mostly use no copyright music in the background so YouTube does not detect copyright. I guarantee the sound is actually better than before. Calls are made using the original microphone of the car, so the call quality is perfect on both ends. Hello friends, in this tutorial I'll show you how to install a CarPlay screen on a screen is actually cheaper, can't mix them up, and I'll show you every Now let's move on to conclusions. As you know, I have tested many head units over time, from $100 units to $500 ones. I can say this unit has a fair price to quality ratio. It has a nice OEM look and keeps the original functions. It installs very quickly if you don't connect a reverse camera like I did. It has many UI options to choose from. The radio tuner is usually bad on many Android units, but this one is very good. The audio quality is great thanks to DSP. Apps run very well, and what I like the most is how well CarPlay and Android Auto functions run. That's it for this tutorial and review. Don't forget to press those important buttons like, comment and subscribe so we can see each other in the next episode. Goodbye.